All praises to Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushua.
Right? For his mercy truly endures forever, man. Right? So as you can see from the board, the meat lesson is the mark of the beast. Oh, yeah, get the camera straight. We're going to go into it, man. It has become a very controversial topic within Israel, but really it's plain upon tables when you get to understand it.
Gun.
So we're going to break down what the mark of the beast is. Right? And we're going to edify the flock. Right? Give me 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2.
It's the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 2.
Bring it out.
Feed the flock of the Most High.
What does the scripture say?
Feed the flock of the Most High.
So we got to feed the flock. Who are the flock of Israelites? So we got to feed them with knowledge, wit, and understanding. The Lord said, I'm going to give you pastors according to my heart in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verse 15. The scripture said we're going to feed you with the bread of understanding. So we got to feed the flock of Israelites. I mean, we got to go into the prophecies, the milk, the bread, the honey, the wine, to edify and build up Israel. Keep reading, brother.
Which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre.
Right, so this is not for money. We're not charging our people $9.99 to get the Revelation 13 breakdown. You got elders out here that charge for breakdowns.
Wicked.
Books. Truth. Wicked. And the scriptures say, buy the truth and sell it not. So you can't be out here selling the truth. That's an abomination. Keep reading, brother.
But of a ready mind.
But of a ready mind. Now give me Sirach chapter 15, verse 3.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 15 and verse 3.
Bring it out.
With the bread of understanding.
With the bread of understanding, because that's what bread represents in the scriptures. It represents understanding. Read on.
Shall she feed him.
Right? Shall he feed them? Read on.
And give him the water of wisdom to drink.
See that? So the water also represents the wisdom. So we out here giving our people the water. We're giving them the milk, the wine, the honey, the bread, the oil, etc., etc. Right? Hey, the scriptures is a feast, man. The Bible is a feast. Right? You have a variety. The Bible is the garden, man. Right? You got everything within the garden. You got all your foods, all your necessities, things to build you up and help you out. Help your body out, help your mind out. Right? The Bible is what they call the basic instructions before leaving earth. But really, it's the basic instructions while living on the earth. This is your instruction that you have to keep, Israel. Now give me Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 25.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 25.
Right.
Receive therefore instruction through my words, and it shall do you good.
It shall what?
It shall do you good.
It shall do you good. So when you know these scriptures, it does you good for your spirit, man. Right? So again, we going into Revelation the 13th chapter. All right, we start at 11, I said. You start at the 11th verse.
Then we ended at 15. Just to recap, we can start at 11 from the time. It goes into it.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Brothers, remember what beast this is?
Rome.
America. That's right, it's America, right? Because America comes off peaceably, but it's really wicked and evil with wicked, foul intentions.
Precept. Psalms 28 and 3 real quick. Right? Because the lamb is a peaceable and a docile creature. So America comes off as peaceable and docile, but inwardly they meditate war on how to overthrow the Israelites. Right? They come with that democracy, we're all one, peace among men, right? But really in their spirit, they hate you. Right? That's why the scriptures say they had two horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. Bring it out, brother.
The book of Psalms, chapter 28 and verse 3. Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors.
That's Esau. They speak peace to their neighbors, but what?
But mischief is in their
They
hearts.
say, but mischief is in their hearts. Evil. Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 25 is the precept. Also, Daniel chapter 8, verse 25. Bring it up.
It's the book of Daniel, chapter 8 and verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Right?
And he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace shall destroy many.
It say by peace shall he destroy many. That's the so-called white man. So he come to you in the spirit of peace, but he really meditates on how to overthrow you. He rocked you to sleep like a crafty man of war, right? Esau not just gonna come up to you full-fledged with the sword. No, he's gonna befriend you. Right? He's gonna take you out to lunch. Right? Next thing you know, you think that's your friend and he loves you. Next thing you know, you hanging from a damn tree, man. Right? So by his peace shall he destroy many.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
Right? And give me Sirach chapter 12, verse 16.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 12, and verse 16. As it's like an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips.
What does scripture say?
An enemy speaketh sweetly with his
It
lips.
say an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. I love you. It's okay. Let's go to lunch. God loves everybody, man. I'm your friend. Right? Read on.
But in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
But in his heart, he imagined how to overthrow you. It's like in a pit, man. Right there, I'm your friend to the end spirit. Right there, yeah, chapter, right? But look, man, he really want to kill you and overthrow you and cast you into that net,
He not a good guy.
right?
He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
See that he not satisfied with blood. He got to see blood shed. He got to see death among the children of Israel. And that's the spirit of the so-called white man and of America.
All right, I got a quick precept. Isaiah 47 verse 7. Right, going into the daughter of Babylon, which is America.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 47, and verse 7.
Right?
Thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever.
Right, that's what America say, man. I will be a lady forever. I'm gonna be a prosperous, mighty kingdom forever. Right, read?
So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it.
See that? So America's gonna be a lady until the end of time. They come peacefully, but at the end of the day, they're gonna get destroyed, and that wickedness is gonna be uncovered. Right?
Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me.
That's what the Lord says. But Esau says that. America says that I am. Really?
I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
That's what they say. I'm gonna be a lady forever, so I'm not gonna have to suffer these things. Right?
But these two things shall come to thee in a moment in one day.
And one day they go read on.
The loss of children and widowhood.
That's gonna happen to America in one day. Although they portray themselves to be this lamb, to be this lady without spot or blemish, when it's really a wicked whore, man. Right? Read on.
They shall come upon thee and their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments.
You see that? Because America is built off witchcraft and sorcery, man, just like ancient Egypt. Right? Just like Babylon, all the other ancient civilizations of the day. Right? So America is that lamb that speaks as a dragon, man. Alright, so that's it on that. Yeah, precept.
Psalms 147. So like it's Psalms 140, verse 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 140, verse 1.
Right.
Deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man, and preserve me from the violent man.
That violent man is the so-called white man.
That's right.
Right? I mean, his works show forth that he's a violent man. Look up Emmett Till, brother.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're gonna go there, man. A lot of people like, oh, brother, you know, that's going too far now, brother. We don't want to see that. No, we gotta go into it, man. This is the works of the so-called white man.
Like, they wouldn't want to really promote this in America. They say they trying to actually take away talking about this
They
stuff.
just
in
they
school.
just
Emmett Till,
Yeah, the critical race theory. That's wicked, man.
I'm gonna do before and after.
And his brother Emmett Till was 14 years old.
Nope.
Check that out.
Look the brother, 14 years old, a young lad. And Esau beat him to death. Disfigured his face. Shot him. And then shot him. Because supposedly he whistled at a white man. Nah,
But
nah,
Salaki, she actually didn't do it.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't do
She
it.
did come out and say she didn't do
Wait,
it.
so she was like 80-something years old.
Her deathbed, yup.
Wicked, man.
I'm led to believe she tried to come on to that young brother, and he kind of declined,
Khan.
using wisdom.
He was a
She
common
kind of
brother.
got, she kind of got mad that he rejected her, and she kind of told that lie on that brother.
Facts.
But this is Emmett Till, man. So we asked the Lord to deliver us from the violent man. Go
It's
ahead.
Salaki. Hey, the so-called white man is so evil. They try to make it look like it's old, but in reality, they had colored pictures by then. That's why they made this picture black and white to make it look like, oh, it just happened a long time ago. But in reality, hey, this was.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago, right?
Right.
They really had color by this
God,
time.
they had-
They was just playing.
Techniques and tactics to
Yeah.
distort history and distort our perception of history.
Right.
Because they did the exact same thing with MLK.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They said, look,
Black and white,
Make
yeah.
it black and white so it seemed as if it was thousands of years ago, forever ago.
Right.
No, you had colors back then.
Right.
You know,
right.
that was the 60s. You had Woodstock, you had all of that stuff back then. They had
Right.
color pictures.
Right.
But except when it came to this man and Matil, they say, let's make it black and white.
And real quick, look up, since they want to do that, look up Kendrick Johnson.
Oh! Okay,
Right.
that young boy that got the electric chair.
In the school.
Mm-hmm.
He was crying.
Oh, yeah. He didn't even want to die. They wanted him electric.
Which one after?
Oh no, I'm talking about that white boy that killed him when he was playing basketball.
That's him.
They rolled him up in that mat. I think.
His teammate. Yo, I remember
Look at
that.
that.
The first one?
Yeah.
Kind.
Look what they did to that brother.
What the hell?
They beat him to death, and they say, look, no, he kind of tripped over his own shoe and rolled himself in the PT mat.
Oh, dang.
He said his daddy was damn
And then his organs, they took his organs too.
Yeah.
You know? He took his organs and stuffed newspaper in his body. So this is what they did. So the point I'm making is Esau is the violent man. Go back to Psalms 140, verse 1.
The book of Psalm, chapter 140 and verse 1.
It's a lucky that happened in 2017. And tell me that was back in, what you want to say, hundreds of years ago? No, man, that's recent.
Right, forgive us.
Psalms 140, verse 1, brother.
Deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war.
They say continually are they gathered together for war. That's the so-called white man. Right? America has been in a war since every year since its establishment. It has been going to war. They get World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, right? Pearl Harbor, right? And the list goes on and on.
Yeah, that other 14-year-old George Stigley, they got the electric chair.
Yep. You got it walking on.
You had I think he was like a 14-year-old boy.
Yep,
That was recent. That was like last year. His name was Kawan Charles.
I'm gonna look that up. How you spell it?
Quawawan Charles.
Oh yeah. Try to make that black one. God damn.
Oh, they trying to make that black and white.
That happened
Wow. Oh, damn.
He said it happened when?
last year.
Wow.
So, see?
Esau stage.
He was with some white friends over there. You know.
How can you try to make that black and white when that's plain?
All right, and they got it. They got it right here. And they be trying to play you.
They say 1955, 2020, so there's nothing new in
Or,
this.
oh yeah, kind of.
That's right.
The point is, this man is the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
You think we just scream the white man the devil for our health? No, because it's the truth, and we gotta speak truth to our neighbors. Right? So, go back to that, King, Psalms 140.
The book of Psalms, chapter 140 and verse 2. Which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war.
That's Esau, because he was blessed with the sword, and he's a man of war from the left-hand side. Keep reading.
They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their
So
lips.
that's all the dragon is a serpent, a reptile.
Right.
Right, so Esau comes from that spirit of a serpent. Just like that serpent in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1.
You bring out Psalm 73 and 6.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 73 and verse 6. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain.
Right? That's prideful thinking that you can get away with that murder. Go ahead.
Violence covereth them as a garment.
Right. They're They're violent in nature.
Covered in
Right.
wickedness.
They're the scorpion in the parable of the scorpion and the frog. He's that scorpion. It's always in his nature to sting everybody.
Yep.
Right? And he don't give a damn even if you fall. Right? He's going to do everything in his power to sting everybody.
Speak as a dragon, like a serpent. And his poison is under their lips, man. Right? Poison. That's what snakes have. That's what serpents have. They have venom.
What is
The man name where they put the knee on his neck for eight minutes and on camera,
George Floyd.
proving to show you that they gotta be the devil. You know what
And
I'm
then he
saying?
held himself not guilty.
It don't take you 8 minutes to put a handcuff on the man and lift the man up, you know what I'm saying? And the man is already restrained by 5, 6 different officers.
Right. Yeah, man. We
Sit there
hate
and
the
wait.
white man with a passion.
That's right.
You can't make us accept him.
And the Lord hates him too,
You
man.
know what's
God,
crazy?
most important.
Brothers be wanting to coon, man.
What killed me?
Traitors, man.
Even like with
Wicked,
the George
man.
Stinney movie, I mean, yeah, they made a movie about it. When they killed him, they made a movie. It was called Carolina Skeletons. Yep, they literally put him in a electric chair. And I was like, he's 14 years old.
Man, that's crazy.
Along what they did to what's his name? I forgot the movie it's called when he was sleeping in bed and they shot him up. What's that movie called?
Oh, that Fred Hampton, yeah.
Fred Hampton. They put him out his room.
Oh, Jesus.
Set him up with his friends.
Black Messiah? Yeah,
Got
something
him
like that.
high, then killed him while he was asleep.
Yeah, they let off hundreds
Oh,
of
Judas and
rounds
blood.
on,
Yeah.
Fred
Judas in the
I said
while he
Jesus.
was asleep. And his PJs.
It's-
Right, so this man's the goddamn devil.
Drugged up too.
You can read that
No,
again.
he drugged them up too.
What type of threat did he suppose?
Revelations
He
13.
didn't.
Attempted.
For them to kill him.
He didn't put a threat.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 11.
Right?
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
You just show how they speak as a dragon, right? Because when you look up America's lights and home of the free and home of the brave, whatever the hell they say,
Land of the free,
Man,
home of the
he was free,
braves.
home of the brave.
yeah, but we see what's going on,
Damn lie.
right? So that's basically that they are liars, they're violent, they're wicked as hell. Right, read on.
And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him,
Right, that's going into the Romans.
and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
Right, because Rome almost fell, but then it came back up during the Renaissance.
That's right.
Right, read on.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Right, that's going into Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Look it up right here. Big boy and little boy.
Yeah, if you look up Hiroshima, you will see that's when they dropped the nukes. And that's when America became the high power in the earth, and nobody wanted to mess with America.
See that?
Nagasaki,
And they made a movie about it in Pearl Harbor.
right? They dropped that nuclear bomb and destroyed a city 30 seconds,
I believe that was on X-Men as well.
right? So, yeah. So that's when they exercise. That's when they made fire come down from heaven, right? Because heaven is just the sky.
And this goes to show you that Esau was blessed with the sword. Right? Because no other nation had this military might during this time.
Check that out,
So when they seen these things, they kind of marveled at the power of the so-called white man.
right? Keep reading on that. That's what it's saying.
Oh, it's like in my
I got
eyes.
pick up on this.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 38.
That's a
So Esau does have power, but on the left hand
Pull that
side.
real fast.
Right, okay.
Which one?
I got it. Genesis chapter 27, verse 38 says, And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father.
Right, because if you know the backstory behind this, Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. So he lost the ability and the promises of the kingdom of heaven. Because he sold his birthright for a morsel of red pottage. You got it, brother.
Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt
By thy what?
And by thy sword shalt thou live.
So Esau lives by the sword. And it's that old saying, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. Right? And Esau is out here living with the sword. Hence, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Alright? So the point I'm proving is Esau was blessed with the sword, and he has the power to exercise these things on a military level, man. Right? So no nation could stand before Esau. But now, you know, the Lord is raising up the spirit of these nations. Now you got the weak nations saying, I am strong. Right? They ain't scared of Esau no more. China not afraid of America. Actually, China has more military might than America. Right? All these different nations, they kind of bucking up against Babylon the Great. Russia. Right? So, kind of. That's it on that.
All right, so Revelation 13, verse 14. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had to do in the sight of the beast.
And the miracle is a wonder. You got it, brother.
It's like in that beast is basically the seven heads is the European structure. We went over that in Revelation 13 breakdown. Brothers had the notes on it. So the European structure, you know, everybody else, they basically seen that, and they was confounded, basically deceived by those miracles. And it says, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast shall be killed.
And Salaki, your image represents your spirit, your persona, your demeanor that you come with.
You can get that in a blue letter.
Come, let's bring that up. Get that in a blue letter. And we get Romans chapter 8, verse 29.
Revelation.
Romans 8:29.
Oh, my bad.
Out of the blue letter.
Romans 8:29.
Come, Romans chapter 8, verse 29.
Romans 8 in verse 29.
Right?
It says, for whom he did foreknew, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son.
So the elect is conformed to the image of Hamashiach Yahushua, meaning we taking on the spirit of the Lord. Because that's what your image represents. It represents your spirit, your reputation, and the spirit that you come with. Right? So the image of the beast is the spirit of the so-called white man, and his devilish ways. Right? But the elect, we are conformed to the image of Yahushua Hamashiach.
Yeah.
You want the image?
Okay, look up for the image.
Gotcha.
You
I'll
know,
tell you that.
Oh, it's Romans 8:29.
Romans chapter 8, verse 29.
I went to Strong's.
It's a the image of one in whom the likeness of anyone is seen.
Scroll down. Scroll down.
God
That's the only definition.
of his power of command to Christ on account of his divine nature and absolute moral excellence.
Yeah, that one.
What you want?
Keep reading. That second definition says the image of the Son of God in which true Christians are transformed. Its likeness not only to the heavenly body, but also to the most holy and blessed state of mind which Hamashiach possessed. So it's the state of mind, like you said, your spirit, your consciousness, the way you move. Right? It even says that to Christ on account of his his divine nature and absolute moral excellence. Now your morale is how you move. Then you have your statute, profile. It's your profile, your statute, your representation. Right, so that'll be your image, man. Like you said, he come in the image of his. Like if somebody say, "Look, I'm coming in the name or the image of Christianity," you expect homosexuality, pork, like yelling, sweating. That's what you think about, right? For real, that's what you think about. Right. Somebody say, "I'm coming in the spirit of Satanism," you think Gothic. You know, that's the same thing.
Spirit of Islam, you think of a cobblestone, right? Kufi on their head, throw, right? An orange beard, right?
That's fine.
Orange beard.
Yeah, so that's the image of the beast. It's the morale of the beast.
Right.
What he represents.
Yeah, what he represents, man. That's why I said the representation.
Precept, Proverbs 22:1. It's your spirit, your demeanor, your reputation, your name. It's all of that synonymous in one. You got it, brother.
2 and 1.
Proverbs 22:1.
So book of Proverbs chapter 22 verse 1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches.
Meaning a good name, a good spirit, a good reputation. What people view you as. Read on.
And loving favor rather than silver and gold.
Right, so it's better to have a good name. Right, but the image of the beast, that's not a good name right there, man. That's the spirit of damn homosexuality, feminism, adultery, freedom of religion. Hey, what they say, Constitution, what's the First Amendment?
Freedom of speech, religion.
Freedom of speech and freedom of religion. But the first commandment is thou shalt have no other gods before me. So Esau is directly adverse to the scriptures. Right? So that's the image of the beast. You got the Pope, he basically revamped the 10 Commandments to fit the likeness of homosexuality and wickedness. Now, give me Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1. Watch this out.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 1.
Right.
A good name is better than precious ointment in the day of death than the day of one's birth.
Right, and that's plain upon table. A good name is better than precious ointment. So you want to have a good name and it's true. Right? You don't want to be known as the man that commit adultery, or the man that is, a busybody, a gossiper,
Pork
right?
eater.
A pork eater, shrimp consumer. You don't be known as that man. And give me Psalm 73 and 20. And this all goes into your spirit and your image. So the image of the beast, let me say this, is not an actual image. It's not a picture of Caesar Borgia. That's not the image of the beast. The image
that's
of
the
the
cut
beast
right
is
here.
more so spiritual. All right? Well, it is spiritual. But bring this up.
The book of Psalms, chapter 73 and verse 20. As a dream when one awaketh, so, O Yahweh, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image.
So the Lord is going to despise their image, man. He's going to hate the spirit of America.
That's right.
And hate the doings of the so-called white man. And that's why he's going to come back to destroy this land. That's in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Right? Revelation, the 19th chapter. 2nd Edges, the 13th chapter. All right? So when he awaketh and when he come back to this earth, he's going to despise the spirit of the so-called white man.
All right, you can go to Sirach 17:1.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 17 and verse 1.
Right?
Yahweh created man and the earth and turned them into it again. He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein.
Go ahead.
He endued them with strength by themselves and made them according to his image.
Right, we were made in the image of the Lord. In other words, we're supposed to move in righteousness, right, and wisdom, being circumspect, and judging righteously. We're made in the image of the Lord. We have to continue moving in the image of the Lord, right? The Lord didn't put us on earth to move in the image of our oppressor and our enemies, right? Yet you still see a lot of our brothers and sisters moving in the image of this beast.
That's right.
Babylon, America the Great.
Yep.
Now they may not say, well, I'm actually moving in a way of America, but they're showing it through their actions.
Subconsciously.
They know not.
They're doing it through their actions by what? Wearing American flag shirt,
Celebrating 4th of
blonde
July.
hair, celebrating these wicked holidays.
That's right.
You know, sucking the toes of the white man. All manner of wickedness and cruelty. That's them showing us that they're moving in the image of America, Babylon, and Greece, right? Picking up their ideologies, their terms, their lingo,
Their verbiage.
all of their verbiage.
Patriot.
Already,
Yeah.
you know, he started cursing like Esau. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
What?
You know, that's because Jake is around Esau a damn day. So when you pick up their lingo, their clothing, their culture, for lack of better words, right? Everything that the so-called white man does, you adopting it. You're moving in his image now, right? Now you're that acceptable Negro.
It's like that movie Get Out, man.
Con.
That's a classic. That's one for the books right there, man. Right? They was literally in the sunken place and they took on the spirit of the so-called white man. Literally, the spirit of Esau entered into their vessel.
All right. Till you took a picture.
Right? Now they wearing a suit and tie.
Yep.
They wearing the. There you go, man. Hey, that's Jake in the sun place. And they trying to get out of there. And they screaming what they consumed by the so-called white man in his image. It's literally the image of the beast. No, it's a movie that describes that.
Yeah, it really do.
Alright. I got more appreciation.
Show the coon show the coon.
What the heck? I forgot his damn name. That's South Park.
I think his name's something Latham.
Yeah. Lakeith
Lakeith Stanfield, right?
Yeah. Type that in.
That's the
Lakeith.
dude that played the trainer of
No, yeah, he's
yeah.
he was a snitch.
That's Jake when they get consumed by the so-called white man.
It's like he has the mark of the beast.
This is the mark.
Yeah, exactly. Kabashi got the mark.
Right.
So-called white man.
Which one?
Oh, the sex, yeah, she was sex.
Okay, kind.
No, it started.
Hey, when Jake, Salaki, Shemai, when Jake get the image of the beast, he kind of go get him a white woman.
Shave his beard.
He kind of put on that suit and tie. He kind of put on the cowboy hat.
Shave his beard.
He shaved his beard.
Lord head.
He got that Edomite countenance now.
No salt.
No
Stiff.
salt whatsoever. You know,
Get the
and it
you.
gets bad because
Get the
they get consumed by the ways of Esau.
I said, if I look up Undercover Brother, when he had sex with a white woman, he changed his whole wardrobe and everything.
Oh,
So
man.
Stop using seasoning salt.
You said undercover what?
Undercover brother.
That's a class.
Yeah, he started dressing like an Edomite.
Singing the songs,
Talking
We
like
might not show it.
yeah.
What you want?
Type,
First one?
his name is Stan
Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah. But yeah,
I mean, Anton Jackson. Type that
That's
in.
the point.
Yeah.
So go to Revelation 13. We're gonna continue.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse
Now
16.
we gotta understand what the beast is, right? And what is an image before you can deal with the mark of the beast.
Right.
Like, what is that in the first place?
Yes. Once you understand the image of the beast, the mark of the beast becomes
Understandable.
more understandable. All right, so we won't bring it out. Bring it out. Keep reading.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Now, when men read mark, they think that's talking about a literal mark. A mark can be spiritual. We can bring that out in Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4. Bring that out.
That's right. That's the perfect precept. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 9 and verse 4.
Right.
And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark,
Set a what?
set a mark
Meaning set a spiritual mark. Read on.
upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
And that's talking about the elect. So the Lord is setting a spiritual mark upon the men that sigh and cry for the abominations. Meaning a mark of exemption. Okay, read on.
So,
I want to make a quick point. So if this is a spiritual mark, why would the mark of the beast be something physical?
Romans 16, 17.
It just doesn't add up. So the Lord got a spiritual mark on the elect that he's going to preserve. So wouldn't it be a spiritual mark on those who's not going to be preserved? Right? You know.
And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite.
Do what?
And smite.
So these men didn't have the mark of exemption. They didn't have the mark of the Most High. Right? So they had the mark of the wicked. Keep reading.
Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young.
What the scripture says.
Slay utterly old and young.
Say slay utterly old and young. Read on.
Both maids and little children.
Right, because these Israelites in Ezekiel the 9th chapter, they was going to hell. Right, they was worshiping Ishtar, celebrating Christmas.
That's right.
They was consumed in the ways of the
They are
Babylonians.
weeping for Tammuz.
Right, but you had men and women that wasn't down with that. They had the mark of exemption, which is the mark of the Most High. Okay, read on.
But come not near any man upon whom's the mark.
Whom's the what?
Whom is the mark?
Whom's the mark? That's not a literal, physical, actual marking. That's a spiritual marking. Like it, Psalm chapter 37 and verse 37.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 37 and verse 37. Mark the perfect man.
Do what?
Ooh, that's good. Mark the perfect man
Say, mark the perfect man. Read on.
and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace.
Now you actually gonna take out a marker and kind of put a check on the brother's forehead. No, I'm talking about a spiritual marking, meaning note this man.
That's right. That's right.
Point that man out. That's what mark means. It's not a literal mark. Because they go into that the Greek word what is it,
Karagma.
which is incision. But incision, that's like an incision is not necessarily physical. You can have a spiritual incision.
That's right.
All right?
That's right.
Don't yield on that.
It's like, then you can't read the Bible like an Edomite, man. It's parables, man.
Carnal minded.
Right? So get Revelation 14:1.
The carnal mind is enmity with the Heavenly Father. So if you got a carnal mind, you're against the Most High.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 1.
Right?
And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion,
Right?
and with him 140 and 4,000,
Right? The
Ha-
elect Israelites, 144.
having his father's name written in their foreheads.
Right. So then you got Yahweh written in your forehead. No, man. It's saying you got the name of the Lord, right? His image within your mind.
That's
man.
right.
Like that's what it's saying, man.
We drinking of that
So
cup.
when you got the mark within your mind on your forehead, it's because you're marked with the image of the so-called white man, the Romans.
You have his ways and his
That's all
philosophy.
it's saying.
within
That's
his
right.
mind.
That's right. That's right. Playing upon
All it's
tables.
So it's not gonna be spiritual all for the Lord, and then all of a sudden, all right, now the mark is a chip. No, man.
And that's actually a Christianity doctrine, right? Christians came up with that whole philosophy of the chip being the mark of the beast. Now we're not denouncing that they don't got an RFID chip out here, but that's not in Bible prophecy, right? You can't just go to one chapter and say, look, that's the RFID chip, that's it. You're not going to know every prophecy in the scriptures have multiple witnesses. They
Facts.
prophesied about the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Daniel Revelation.
Second, Edges prophesied about Jacob's trouble, right? Moses eschewed Jacob's trouble in the end times, right? Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, all these prophets had the same visions and prophecies. So you can't just go to one chapter and say, look, that's the RFID chip. You don't go to no Lincoln precepts to validate that. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established.
Done.
I got a precept.
You can bring out Deuteronomy 7 and 9.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 9. Know therefore that Yahweh, the Most High, is the Most High, the faithful God which keepeth covenant.
Like Deuteronomy 6 and 8.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 8. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
That's not literal, right? Bring out, whether you're trying to Google Jewish people, black cube, those Jewish people, those Amalekites, they got a black cube on their head, and they also got one on their arm.
What they call
Right.
it?
It's called Cube.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but
Teflon? Oh.
see that? Now the reason why they do that is because in Deuteronomy
The
6 and 8,
commandments.
they take that literal, you know?
Volume.
So they take the scriptures and kind of make it tiny and put in their arm and their forehead.
Bind them.
Deuteronomy 6 and 8.
Idiots, man.
So go back a little bit.
Then they
Come
gonna
on,
say this, Cody.
go to precept.
He was on point. So what?
Go down a little.
Wow.
Click. Go down a little bit more.
So Salaki,
you can go back.
but this is what men think.
Just back one.
Men think it's gonna be an
What?
actual chip in your forehead,
Go back one. This is the Teflon.
in your hand.
Oh, the Teflon. Yeah.
That's carnal.
That's crazy.
So click that Bible chart.
That's carnal.
The Teflon.
Bible
Right.
go deeper.
And it say, what is that?
You can.
Is a set.
My bad.
Is a set of small black leather boxes. Was it containing scrolls of parchments inscribed with verses from the Torah. Teflon was worn by observant adult Jewish during weekdays morning prayers. Right? All of this is vain. Right? The Lord didn't mean literally. All right? They took, see that? Look, the biblical verses often cited as referring to that Teflon are obscure. Deuteronomy 11 and 18, for instance, does not designate explicitly but specifically to bind upon your arm.
They don't know what's going
And the
on.
definition of total fault
They
between your eyes. Right? They don't know what's going on, like the brother said. That's not literal.
They're not spiritual.
So you can't read this book thinking everything's carnal before it's spiritual. It's all spiritual first. Right? Likewise in Revelation 13, it's all spiritual before it's carnal. You know, so when the Lord says He's going to mark those people, it's like at a market. It's not physical. All right, it's everything spiritual first. The image was spiritual, the mark spiritual, and when we continue reading, the next thing's going to be spiritual
That's
as
right.
well.
1 Corinthians 2:14.
I got a precept real quick. Proverbs 3 and 3. The language back right off that precept.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 3. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart.
Right, so you gotta write them in the table of your mind. That's what it's talking about.
Right.
But hey, the Amalekites, they can't put that together. They're not in the spirit of the Lord, because it's not for them. So you can't think, oh, it's talking about a chip. Because no, man, it has to, like you said, 2 or 3 witnesses. It has to all link up. We understand that people go be conformed to the ways of the nations, and that links up through various precepts. So it'll be the same thing now.
It's pretty much social conditioning,
That's right.
like social engineering. That's pretty much what the mark of the beast is. Social engineering. It's all spiritual, right? The spirit of the so-called white man. For example, if you don't agree with homosexuality, they marginalize you.
That's right.
They put you in a box. They say you're evil, right? So that's like the social, that's what the society has been, socialized to believe. They're being engineered to believe that you got to accept homosexuality. You got to accept feminism, right? You can't say nothing. You can't judge. That's all social engineering. And that's the mark, right? Let's get Exodus chapter 13, verse 9. Exodus chapter 13, verse 9.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 13 and verse 9.
Right?
And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine
So
hand.
this is talking about the commandments of the Lord. It's a sign unto you upon thine hand. Meaning you got to do the works of the commandments. That's what it means when it says upon your hand. Because your hand represents you doing the work.
Right, your strength.
Right? Scripture say you got to work with your hands, right? So your hand represents work. Okay? Read on.
And for a memorial between thine eyes.
And for a memorial between thy eyes, meaning in your mind. Between your frontlets. Read on.
That the Lord's law may be in thy mouth.
What the scripture say?
That the Lord's law may be in thy mouth.
Right, so the commandments is not actually written upon your hand. It's not written in between your eyes. Neither is it literally in your mouth. Right? Meaning you speak of the commandments, you do the work of the commandments, and you meditate upon the commandments. Everything is spiritual. Now give me Song of Solomon 8 and 6.
The book of Song of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 6.
Right?
Set me as a seal upon thine heart.
What the scripture say?
Set me as a seal upon thine heart.
Meaning a mark upon your mind. A seal upon your mind.
Okay.
Read on.
As a seal upon thine arm.
As a seal upon thine arm. Right? Meaning you do the works and you also have it in your mind. Read on.
For love is strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave.
And give me Isaiah chapter 49, verse 16.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 49 and verse 16.
Right?
Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my
Did
hands.
the Lord actually graven the name of Israel upon the palm of his hands? Is the Lord up there making engravings and printings upon his arm? That's an abomination. Right? So that's not literal. That's spiritual. Read on.
Thy children, thy walls are continually before me.
Right, thy walls are continually before me. And give me 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2.
It's the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 2.
Right?
Speaking lies and
So
hypocrisy.
you got men out here that speak lies and hypocrisy, false doctrine, wicked heretics. Read on.
Having their conscience seared with a hot iron.
Their conscience literally seared with a hot iron. Did they take their conscience out of their mind and put it on the ironing board, and they got the iron, and they kind of ironing their conscience? Right? They kind of iron it, making sure there's no creases in it. Right? No, that's a spiritual sealing of the mind. I mean, these men are fully set in their doctrine and in their ways. That's what it means to have your conscience seared with a hot iron. That's not literal, that's all spiritual.
Come on, I have a precept.
Go ahead, brother.
Right, so it's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3 and verse 3. Therefore, the showers have been withholden, and there have been no latter rain. And thou hadst a whore's forehead. Thou refusest to be ashamed. That wasn't a physical whore's forehead. Their mind and their works were of a whore. They did the works of a whore.
That's right. Revelation 17:5. Right?
It's
Because
the,
you gotta understand, the book of Revelation is a parabolic book.
that's right.
It's all symbolic. Now you have things that's, literal, right? But for the most part, it's all parabolic in the book of Revelations, right?
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 5. And upon her forehead,
And upon what?
and upon her
And
forehead,
that
forehead.
word is talking about America,
That's right.
that spiritual whore, that harlot, that woman that sit upon many nations. So it say upon her forehead was written what?
A name written, Mystery Babylon the
Now,
Great.
America is a landmass. Do it actually have a forehead?
All right.
America have a body.
All right.
I know.
That's a cut.
Yeah, don't have eyebrows,
That's a good-
eyelashes. This is, come on now. That's the representation of America, but it doesn't actually have a forehead.
Lady Liberty.
Because a landmass can't have a forehead. Okay, the city of New York doesn't have arms. Right? The state of Michigan doesn't have eyebrows. Right? So you have to be a fool to believe in that.
That's right.
Okay, so bring it out again, Kenny.
The book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots,
What?
the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Meaning that's the spirit of America. That's the spirit that they come with, harlotry,
God.
abominations. Right? A man can be with a man. Right? A woman can be with a woman. Right? They got corporations out here called NAMBLA. Right? North American Man Boy Love Association. Right? In which it's a pedophile organization. That's the spirit of America.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, play it, NAMBLA.
Esau know about it too. You ask him.
Play it, boy.
We might look at that lesson.
You want to
Yeah, for
Just go on
real.
the side right there. Go back.
go back?
Look back.
See over there, right there.
You see North American Man Boy Love Association.
It's a pedophile and pedestrian advocacy organization in the United States, meaning in Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots.
Check that. Read that next part.
They say it works to abolish age of consent laws, criminalizing adult sexual involvement with minors, and campaigns for the release of men who have been jailed for sexual contact with minors that did not involve what it
Coercion.
considers coercion.
Wicked.
The group no longer holds regular national meetings, and as of late 1990s, to avoid local police infiltration, the organization discouraged the formation of local chapters around 1995. An undercover detective discovered there were 11,000 or 1,100 people on the organization's roll. Right, so on and so forth. Like the point is, you have corporations out here like this, man. And that's in America. It didn't say that's in China. It didn't say in India, right? That's right here in Babylon the Great. The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. You got zoophiles out here, right? People that have sexual relations with creatures, man.
Lions, primates, horses. It was a Edomite
We
got
hear
put
about
to
it.
death.
Yeah.
Literally, but he tried to get down with a horse and got put to death in the midst of it.
Hey, the Most High say you do that.
Yeah, but
Bugged out,
Yeah, this place is bugged out. That's why it's called the Abomination of the earth. Give me Sirach 15:13.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 15 and verse 13. The Lord hateth all
And
abomination,
so the Lord hates America,
That's right.
right? The Lord hates all abominations. Read on.
and they that fear the Most High love it not.
And they that fear the Lord love it not. So when you come to serve the Lord, you gotta hate the abominations of the wicked. One more. Sirach chapter 17, verse 26.
The book of Sirach, chapter 17 and verse 26.
Right?
Turn again to the Most
You
High.
gotta turn again to the
One of my
Lord.
favorite precepts.
You gotta come out of her, my people. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. You gotta depart ye. Isaiah chapter 52, verse 11. Keep reading, brother.
And turn away from iniquity.
What the Bible say?
And turn away from
You
iniquity.
better turn away from
Isaiah
America.
66.
This is an iniquity filled land. You got trannies, man.
Yeah.
They had a tranny that was persecuting brothers yesterday, trying to smack the Bible. So that tranny hates God, man,
Gone.
and he hates the men of the Lord.
Damn demon.
All right. You got pedophiles out here. You know. Yeah, we kind of seen that, man.
Whoa.
Was that Greek town? You had a damn Edomite with a young Jake.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of smiling.
I'm not doing that for the stage though.
He said, I didn't do anything. I'm just
Oh.
enjoying my time, man. Leave me alone.
Slaki. Yesterday, the Edomite told on himself. He had kind of asked him, and he kind of told himself. Man, it was bad. It was bad. He saw.
He kind of said, not me. And he put his hands up like he was guilty.
No, right? What?
Right? Being a pedophile. He kind of said, not me. I didn't do it. Right?
I got a pizza.
You had somewhat strong men, such as Joe Budden, come out as
Oh yeah.
He claimed he was trolling.
Yeah.
Well, you don't play like that. Scripture
Yeah.
says fools make a mock of sin, so you're a homosexual. Right?
You're not playing like that. I'm not playing like that.
For he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health.
What the scripture say, hate thou what? Read it again, bro.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 17 and verse 26.
Right?
Turn again to the Most High, and turn away from iniquity.
Right?
For he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health, and hate thou abomination vehemently.
And do what?
And hate thou abomination vehemently.
You gotta hate abominations vehemently. Man, you gotta have a passionate hatred for damn homosexuality. Have a passionate hatred for freedom of religion. Have a passionate hatred for feminism, man.
You got the mark, man.
Yeah, you gotta have a passionate hatred for those, right, that commit wickedness. What appreciate that. God, you was there.
You can get Isaiah 60 verse 2.
God, bring that out. So there you go, man. So this all goes into the image of the beast and also the mark of the beast.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people.
Darkness represents wickedness. Read on.
But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee.
Right? The glory of the Lord is going to be seen upon this wicked world. And on the low level, we the light to the world, man.
Facts.
We shine in the light. Right? Hey, man, no, they pushing this homosexuality stuff, man. Heavy.
heavy.
Every which way.
Damn.
Hey,
Con,
every
Breakfast Club had a
Bro,
train.
they persecuting the rapper
Yeah,
Boosie.
Boosie, yeah.
And he like, at this point, he like, F y'all. I don't need y'all, man.
Straight up.
They kind of had they had a transsexual on Breakfast Club,
Con, I saw that.
That's wicked.
you know. It's Charlemagne, man, that brother.
Yeah,
Dog.
Suspect.
Come on, man, Charlemagne fruit.
Zechariah 2 and 7.
Step trippers, but
yeah. He fruit.
Yeah, they got a whole LGBTQ section on Netflix.
Yeah.
When was this
Yeah.
ever thing on the earth?
Never.
Yeah.
When Netflix first came out, they didn't have an LGBTQ
They didn't.
Oh,
section.
that's straight DVDs.
They got something called Bonding on Netflix. Handsome Devil.
Q-Force.
Q.
What?
Queer Force.
Wow. Look, that's
they
They
own
got
section.
something to say, yes. I don't know.
yeah on Netflix. Yeah, on Netflix it's a whole thing of homosexuality.
To expand
Wow.
on
It's
that,
something called Special. Two men
Dare.
lying together, eye gazing at each other.
Oh man.
AJ the Queen. All right, bring that up, King.
It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 2 and verse 7. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
All right, in other words, get out of Babylon. Does the Lord mean actually go buy a plane ticket and fly to China? No. It means spiritually get out of yourself, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
right.
get out of here.
That's not literally.
That's right.
Depart yourself from the workings of iniquity and evil.
That's right. That's right.
You can that much you can control, right? You can't beam
Yep,
yourself up
yep.
into the chariot and beam back down in the wilderness and then go into the kingdom, right? You can't control that. But what you can control is and limit who you're around, right? We understand, yeah, you got to go to work, you got to work with Esau, but even in that work environment, you can control how much you're really, indulging in their folly and in their community,
Yep.
right? When you're in the midst of Babylon, you have to separate yourself from it as much as you can while being in the midst of it, if that makes sense, right? So this is all spiritual, However, if you participate and indulge in their folly and their communications, then you're slowly picking up their image, right? You're going to slowly pick up the same way you speak to your Eve, right? You might pick up certain lingo, she might pick up certain lingo,
Yeah.
right? Y'all gonna eventually become one flesh, right? Y'all the same God. Well, obviously, you know, the way you move, that's the way
What?
she's gonna move,
No.
right? So if you amongst those heathen, and you start communicating with them, and you moving with them, and you're gonna eventually move how they're moving. Now you're moving in their image. The Lord said, "Hey, depart out of Babylon," right? And once you start moving in their image, guess what? You're already marked, right? Especially if you don't want to get out of that and start moving in their image. Hey, you a marked man.
Con. Romans 16:17.
That's right.
What, you have one, bro.
Psalms 97:10.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 97 and verse 10. Ye that love Yahweh hate evil.
Do what?
Ye that love Yahweh hate evil.
You can't hate, brother. Right? What it say?
Ye that love Yahweh hate
You
evil.
gotta hate evil, man. But you got the fat cat Christian coon tell you love everybody. Eat pork. Keep reading.
He preserveth the souls of his saints. He delivereth them out of the hand of the wicked.
Right? So you gotta deliver it out of the hand of the wicked, man. Hey, give me Proverbs 6 and 5. Classic.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 5.
Right?
Deliver thyself as a roe from the hand of the hunter.
A roe is a deer.
That's right.
So whenever that hunter come around, that deer get out of dodge, man. That deer down miles away up the down. Come on, that deer get up out of there, man. So you gotta deliver yourself as a roe from the hand of the hunter. Read on.
And as a bird from the hand of the fowler.
And as a bird from the hand of the fowler. So you have to deliver yourself from Babylon through the Spirit, man. By coming back to the Lord and separating from the ways of Babylon. Right? Read on.
Go to the ant, and thou sluggard.
Now give me Zechariah chapter 2, verse 6.
It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 2 and verse 6.
Right?
Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north.
Do what?
Flee from the land of the
It
north.
say flee from the land of the north. You gotta flee out of this land, spiritually. Okay, read on.
Saith Yahweh, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven. Saith Yahweh.
And we spread abroad, so like abroad among the four winds of the heaven. But the Lord is saying, flee from Babylon spiritually. Stop celebrating your birthday. Right? Stop damn trick-or-treating. And making cookies on Christmas for Santa Claus.
Man.
Bring it up, spiritually.
So I got a point too. Go back to Revelation 13 to 16 so I can make this point.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 16. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Now, your right hand, that represent you actually doing the works. Like setting up the Christmas lights, going up to church, pulling out your wallet, giving it to the pastor. That's all, pushing forth doing the works of the beast, right? And then we touched on the forehead as having it within your consciousness to do the works of the beast. So that's going into that mark.
I got a precept on that. Matthew 26 and 64.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 64.
Right?
And Yahweh saith unto him, Thou hast said, Nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power.
Sitting on the what?
Right hand of power.
So your right hand in your hand also represents power and strength and works. All right? Because to work, it takes labor. So when you do the works, or so like when it's in your right hand, I mean you do the works and you put forth your power into this wickedness. Like your brother said, you set up that Christmas tree physically, right? You pay the tithes to the Christian Fat Cat pastor physically on Sunday. What else you do with your arm? Right?
Let's roll. Roll up.
Yeah, roll up. You roll up. You
Make
down.
that crack.
You cook up that crack. Worship you gotta perform wickedness. You gotta use your hands, right?
That's right. I got a precept.
Go ahead.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 62 and verse 8. Yahweh have sworn by his right hand and by the arm of his strength, surely I will no more give thy corn to be meat for thine enemies. And the sons of the stranger shall not drink thy wine, for the which thou hast labored.
It say the right hand
in the arm of your strength. So that all goes into your works. All right, so that's what it means when it says in your right hand. They're not going to, you know, come on, man. That's not in the scripture. They're going to actually insert a damn
Chip.
RFID chip within your hand,
Kind of go.
and then kind of insert it in your forehead. You know, how's that going to work? And you can't buy and sell without it. But we're going to get to the buy and sell part.
Unless you talking.
I want to jump the gun. This is bad.
He was holding something too.
Oh, that's what I was about to get a precept on.
Oh, the buy and sell?
Yeah, we gonna touch on
We
that
kind
in
of
a
move
second.
on.
Yeah, we can read on that.
Yeah, we can move on. Go to the buy and sell.
Right, because this is where people get tripped up. This is where all hell break loose.
Yeah, right.
All right, so it's a mark, and now you can't buy or sell. So let's go into it, man. Bring it up.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 17.
Right?
And that no man might buy or sell.
Okay, hold on. So, first and foremost, this is gonna be during Jacob's trouble, right?
Facts.
So, who's gonna be buying and selling when all the stores is in?
2 Esdras 6:22.
Yeah, bring that up. Bring it up. Who's gonna be buying and selling in this day anyway?
Well, I asked the brother that, and he said they're going to open the stores back up. Real convenient.
Where is that at in the Bible? Bring it up.
It's the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 6 and verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown.
Right?
The full storehouses shall be suddenly be found empty.
Shall be what?
Shall suddenly be found empty.
Like, so the full storehouses in the last days are going to be empty. There's going to be nothing to buy or sell.
That's right.
It's literally going to be a famine, man. Everybody going to be fighting for bread, food, and water.
Facts.
Right? You got precept?
Kind of precept. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 24. Right? Because it's going to be a famine in the land. If all you got to do is get a chip, that's not going to be no famine. So all you got to do is get a chip and you can eat, you can buy and sell. You're good, man. You're going to be living good and fat and deliciously. All you got to do is get a chip. No, the wicked not going to make it out that way, man. That's the easy way out. Right? All you got to do is get a chip and you all right. Bring this up.
It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 6 and verse 24. And it came to pass. After this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria.
There was a great famine in the land of Samaria, man. And as the scriptures say, there's nothing new under the sun. So a famine is going to come back on the land. Right? The people of America, they never went through a famine. Now you got these third world countries, they go through famines.
All right.
Famine look up the famine in Sudan.
The stomach all to their
The
ribs.
closest thing Esau can say is they went through that Dust Bowl in like the 60s or 40s, whenever. But they ain't nothing compared to what's gonna come.
So like when they first came over to America, I believe in Jamestown, they had a famine because they didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Like a winter came, but they so-called white man don't know how to grow crops, don't know how to live off the land, so they had a quote-unquote famine.
That's their own fault.
Yeah, that's not really a famine. That was just because they couldn't do nothing.
This is the famine in the Sudan.
Hold up.
Those are the Egyptians.
That's a shithole country.
Yemen we go to. Famine.
Which one?
I got a couple.
This is the
precepts.
opposite of famine.
I got any precepts? I got
I
one.
got some precepts.
This
Read the precepts.
Famine.
Oh yeah, the middle of it still.
Nah, man. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man.
Well, nah, bro. They might be Israel. Yeah.
Might be shit.
Yeah. Go to Yemen. Yeah, you got. That's why I said Sudan. Those Hamites.
See that? It jammed
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Talking about jam. Look at that, man.
You know, like
Look at that.
Look like he got a tail.
That's a famine.
My coworker
coming to America.
Right.
Look. Oh, you got.
Hold up.
all crazy.
Oh, slow down, King. Slow down. Go back.
What is that?
They eating scrap.
Look like McDonald's script. I see some Africans eating mosquito.
He had mosquito burgers and doodle pies in his hand.
Go to that other one. The front. Go to
One more?
that.
Like Voldemort in that one.
You got a
Yeah.
famine.
Who?
All praise.
He's man. So this is a famine in the land.
Dang, man. Is that real?
Yeah, it's real. 2 Kings 6:24.
It's the book of 2 Kings. That's judgment. 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in
There
Samaria.
was a great famine in the land. No food around. A drought. Read on.
And behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver.
It said ass's head. That's a donkey. A donkey's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. That's a lot of money, man. That's inflation for a head, right? Keep reading. And like the brother said, that's inflation. That's when the meat products gonna go up, man. The price of meat already going up.
Yeah, kind.
Paying them $12.
It's expensive.
Yeah, man.
And the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver.
Hey, Dove's shit was sold for 5 pieces of silver. Just imagine that. So you had men eating dung from a bird.
Damn.
That's bad.
Keep reading.
And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, when shall I help
He
thee?
said, how will it help you? If the Lord ain't helping you, the Lord not helping me, how do I have the power to help you? Read on.
Out of the barn floor, or out of the wine press? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today.
That we may do what?
That we may eat him
They
today.
having conversations about eating their children. So look, give me your son. We're gonna eat him. We're gonna cook him up.
The
do
barter
thing,
system.
And we're gonna eat and sustain ourselves. Keep reading.
And we will eat my son
He
tomorrow.
said, look, hold on. Got your son today, but we're gonna eat my son tomorrow. Read on.
So we did, so we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she have hid her son.
Kind of hid him. She kind of said, no, not my son. We may have eaten your son, but we're not gonna eat my son.
That's crazy, man.
Right? So man, just think about this conversation they having about eating their own children. So there's gonna be a great famine in the land. So the point we making is, hey man, the famine that's coming to America is gonna be worse than the famine in Samaria. So how the hell you just gonna be able to get a chip now you can eat all of a sudden? If the Lord said he's bringing a famine about the land.
That's right. And
They
pestilence.
don't link up with prophecy.
Good point. That means they gotta open up the stores.
Yeah.
They gotta hire people again. They gotta put them on the wage. They gotta do background checks. They gotta do drug tests. All in the midst of damn concealed.
They just
Right,
try to make
looting.
it sound so easy. Look, it's a whole process to even opening up storehouses, man. Like the brother said, you gotta have employees, background checks, security, food products.
You gotta have, right, you gotta have the imports, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a famine. Like, it's gonna be no way to buy ourselves.
All the stores? Like, come on now.
Yeah, your second address. Your second address 15.
Yup,
and
classic.
19. I got 2 precepts.
It's the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 15 and verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor,
Right?
but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their
Like,
goods.
so people gonna be kicking in doors, having guns, machetes, butcher knives, man, whatever, brass knuckles, looking for food, man. They're not gonna be thinking about buying or selling, man. They're gonna be breaking in your house trying to steal your food. You going?
Because of the lack of bread,
Because of what?
the lack of
You
bread,
going?
and for great tribulation.
Right, that's Jacob's trouble, that great tribulation, lack of bread, a famine. Right? Get Isaiah 19, verse 15. Right?
You gotta use
Yes.
wisdom. It's gonna be
Start at 14.
It's like a real quick point. It's gonna be easy to steal and they get a job and they get the money. Because if the storehouses open up, that means that as other stores is opening up. That means you gotta get. How are you gonna get money? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This gonna be.
It just don't link up with what the Bible says. Like, bring it up.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and verse 14. Yahweh have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof,
Right?
and they have caused Egypt to err.
Right. It's talking about Babylon and America. So Egypt is so It's erring already. Right, read?
And in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit.
Right, read.
Neither shall there be any work for
What
Egypt.
the Lord say?
Neither shall there be any work for
There's
Egypt.
gonna be nobody working
That's a cut.
in the storehouses. So how can they be buying and selling? Read on.
which the head or tail, branch or rush may do.
So it's gonna be no work in those days for them to even be able to buy and sell. You need people with money that's looking to buy a product, and then you need people to actually be there working in the store.
God.
So people gonna be too busy starving to death, breaking in your house trying to take your canned goods, and not gonna be in the stores working.
Salaki, to add on to what you're saying, so you mean to tell me that these corporate people, they're gonna leave their bunkers
Right.
to go mine to Kroger and Aldi and Walmart? Come on,
They
man.
don't
That's-
have it in their bunkers.
Right. Give me Ecclesiastes 12:1. But that buying and selling is it's not going into that. That's pretty much going into, unless you pretty much sell out to the so-called white man, you're not gonna be able to prosper in this society. Unless you get down with the New World Order, Satanism, his mark, his image, you can't properly prosper in this kingdom. That's what it means to buy and sell.
The ones that's not going to be in the FEMA camps are the ones that's, it's like the ones that's getting into the FEMA camps are the ones that's not getting down with the system. Right? But if you're outside those FEMA camps, you kind of took upon this image, right? Now you're marked, now you can, be prosper
Tucked in the
that day.
fringes.
Prosper in that day. You know what I'm saying?
And so like we're not saying they don't got an RFID chip out here.
Yeah.
We just saying that's not what Revelation 13 is talking about.
That's right.
Right?
Facts.
To me personally, I believe they got a chip out here. Right? But they don't link up with the Bible prophecies, man. That's more so going into an enterprise or crafty counsel device of the so-called white man.
God, it's not a new thing. That's right.
Right, but you can't say it's talking about Revelation 13 because it don't align with precepts. But bring this out, brother.
The book Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them.
And that's talking about right now. The evil days haven't, specifically drew nigh yet. Or you still got time to repent. You still got leisure to get your spirit right. Right? Keep reading, brother.
While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain,
Right? You still can get the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Read on.
in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves,
Right? The top rich elite men. Read on.
and the grinders cease because they are
And
few.
they say the grinders are going to cease because they are few. Meaning unemployment is going to go up, man. All these storehouses, these warehouses, they're all going to shut down and close down. So it say the grinders are going to cease, meaning the workers. Keep reading.
And those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets,
Read on.
when the sound of the grinding is low.
Meaning the sound of employment is low. Read on.
And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low.
Keep reading.
And also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets.
So in other words, it's going to be famine. It's going to be all hell breaking loose. So it's not going to be no system set up in which you can buy and sell.
That's right.
That's going to go out the window. And it's not going to come back around. Right? Once Jacob's trouble hit, there's no rebuilding the economy of America.
Facts.
It's already fallen.
Back to verse
All right, you can
17.
real quick. Go to Isaiah 55 and 1 real fast. All right.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 55 and verse 1.
All right.
And it reads thus: Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters.
Right. Everyone that's thirsty for this knowledge, come to the water. Right.
And he that have no money,
Right.
come ye, buy and eat.
Do what?
Buy and eat.
Right. He said, buy and eat of this knowledge. So he's not literally buying. Right.
Yeah, come buy wine and milk without money and without price.
Right. So you can't always use the words buy and sell and take every single thing literally. Right.
Facts.
But like you said, it's going into prospering in this society because you can buy and sell of the milk and wine of the Bible. Right? Or you're supposed to, buy. You can buy it without money, man.
Got a precept.
Right. So it's not going into that. You know what I'm saying?
It's so folly too, because you gotta really picture it as well. If you get a chip in your head, what's the point of getting a chip in your head when you can just get one in your hand?
Con.
You know what I'm saying? So Jake gonna have a chip in their head, and the buy and sell they gotta kind of scan their head or whatever.
Looking like Quan Chi.
Gotta be a barcode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a barcode in your head.
Look it up. Quan Chi.
Stupid.
Q-U-A-N.
That picture funny.
Yeah, Quan Chi. He got something in the middle of his head.
Barcode in his head, man.
See
Chip
that?
in his head.
Forgot about him.
Give me Sirach chapter 27.
Go to a
verse
bigger
2.
picture.
We're going into the buying and selling.
Let's get it, man. 27 and verse 2.
Sirach 27 2.
The book of Sirach, chapter 27 and verse 2.
Right?
As a nail sticketh fast between the joinings of the stones, so doth sin stick close between buying and selling.
Right, so that buying and selling in Revelation is pretty much going into committing sin to receive financial wealth. Right, get down with the mark of the beast, get down with the image of the so-called white man. So unless you do that, you can't properly prosper in this society, man. Unless you sell out, unless you give up your vows, you're not gonna make it in this kingdom. Right, unless you get down with social engineering and conditioning, you're not gonna prosper. Matter of fact, bring it out. Sirach chapter 10, verse 9.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 9. Why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man.
Right?
For such in one set of his own soul to
This
sell.
man seals his own soul. He receives the mark. Right? He's conformed to the image of the beast. Read on.
Because while he liveth, he casteth away his
Right?
bowels.
So he basically give up his vows. He give up his body to receive financial wealth. He sell out. Lord knows, man. Twerking on Satan. And he got money. He got millions of dollars for doing that. So he sold his soul to the devil. Okay. I got another one. Job 27 and 8. So that's what it means when it goes into buying and selling. And Esau has pretty much conditioned the whole world to get down with his ways. You got it.
It's the book of Job, chapter 27 and verse 8. For what is the hope of the hypocrite? Though he have gained when the Most High taketh away his soul.
See that? So this man had gained the world. The Lord took away this man's spirit. Right? Mark 8:36. So, bring it up.
It's the Mark 8 and 36.
Time.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 8 and verse 36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?
This man gained the whole world, but he lost his own soul. He lost his spirit. Look up Floyd Mayweather.
And look at his eyes when you see him.
You look like
This man lusts after money. He called himself Money May all day.
Money Mayweather.
You gotta look up Floyd Mayweather money.
Money.
Watch this father. Look at this brother.
You got a money suit on. Well, look at that, man.
Look at his eyes. He's done it. He's dead inside, man.
This man is
He
lucky.
drunk.
Money suit on.
Look like a reptile.
Sold it, man.
Hey, so this man,
And he put a good beard.
he can click on, brother.
Oh.
Look, he praying.
Meditating.
Oh,
That's what his mind. Except he's far from his mind, man. Beard.
but you know, it's crazy because he came out and said that we the real Jews.
Yep, I
That's
remember that.
pretty. That's wicked, man.
Keep reading. I'll see you reading. Oh, look at this brother.
That man is obsessed with it. It's hard for the kid to keep me there. A rich man.
Facts.
Bald head.
Look at that. I thought that was a car seat.
Hey, look at this, man.
Has a rolled up blunt in his mouth, man. It's never that serious.
That's all you care about is money.
I just care about the money.
He
Money.
has the mark.
He has the mark.
Yeah, he has the mark.
Now go back to Mark. He got the
Wow.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 8 and verse 36.
Look at his iPod. His diamond out. He got a damn diamond iPod.
For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own
This
soul?
man who gained the whole world, but he lost his own soul.
God, it's like
There was a picture out there. Polite was praying the money, man.
He kind of bowing his head too.
Man, flight finished, man.
He said he write no thousands.
Yeah, like didn't right no thousands. I ain't even seen them.
Dang it. I don't know if this gonna pop up. I
Nah.
gotta put brothers.
I seen Charlemagne book before his. Yeah, it's he spelled his with the
He
IGHT.
said he got the no light. We call him no light, man.
Well, it ain't,
Brother no light.
It ain't on here. I think it was on his anyway, the brother was praying the money.
He shot the Bible.
Hey, I think that was it. Wait, go back. I think that was it. Like y'all was just on. Think that on the far left?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
He was actually praying.
Brother no light, man.
Him and Nature Boy is through, man.
Anyway, that's what it was, man. We'll go back to verse 37.
Verse 37. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?
What shall a man give in exchange for his soul?
Nothing.
The chip in
When
the
you sell
forehead.
your soul, you're not actually taking out the spirit and you're giving it to somebody and they giving you money. That's basically saying you're going against the morals of the Most High. You're going against the laws
So,
and
go to verse 18.
receive money. That's what it means.
Go to 13 and 17.
Yep.
Still-
Finish it up.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
So you can't properly make it or make it of high status in the society unless you get down with the so-called white man, his spirit.
Because you got to be able to break down the name and the image. You understand the name is literally your reputation.
That's right.
Right now, you can pull that in the blue letter real fast. And we're going to touch on the number of his name. But we're going to pull this up real quick because you see the image, that was like your morale, like your representation, like the likeness of you.
What you want? What verse?
Verse 17.
17?
17. Just click where it says name.
I know my.
For Nolan. Right.
Strong G 3686. Anima.
Alright,
What you want? The strong? I got
it
both.
says that second definition right here
Kinda.
says the name is used for everything which the name covers. Everything, the thought or feeling of which is aroused in the mind by mentioning, hearing, remembering the name. For one's rank, authority, interest, pleasure, command, excellence, or deeds. Right, that's why I said a good name is better than fine gold, because that's your deeds, your interest, your pleasure, everything about you is in your name.
Personality.
Right, from hearing that, like I said, you think Christianity, you think of, a pastor,
Caesar Borgia.
Caesar Borgia. That's the name of it, man. You see? So yeah, that's pretty much that's going into the name. So you can keep reading Revelation.
Right.
Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the
Read
beast.
that again.
Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the
It
beast.
says one to have understanding, man, because these numbers they got spiritual meaning. So you got to go through the precepts and have spiritual discernment to understand these numbers. All right,
For it is the number of a man,
right,
and his number is 603 score and 6.
right. That's 666. Right now, 6 is one short of perfection because it's imperfection.
That's right.
7 is a perfect number. That's what this is going into.
And real quick, a score represents 20.
Con.
So 3 score is 20
60.
times 3, which is 60. Right? And this makes up 666.
Right, get Matthew 18 and 21. Right, going into 7.
So that imperfect mind.
Right, Esau just the imperfect man. Right, and that's all this represents.
All right, precept on that.
Bring this up.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 21.
All right,
Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him?
right.
Till 7 times?
He said 7 times because that's a number of completion, right?
Yahweh saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
He said 70 times 7. All right, now get the book of Leviticus 16 and 14.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 16 and verse 14. And he shall take of the blood of the bullock.
Right, it's going into the Day of Atonement, right? The most important sacrifice of the year. Right, read.
And sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward.
Right, so you sprinkle the blood on the mercy seat, representation of Yahushua. Read.
And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle of the blood with his finger 7
You
times.
said how many times?
7
So you
times.
sprinkle that blood eastward 7 times. That's a number of completion, man.
That's right.
Right? If you did it 6 times, 8 times, it was finished, man. Right? So you got to do it that perfect amount of time.
Precept.
Bring it up.
Joshua chapter 6, verse 4.
It's the book of Joshua, chapter 6 and verse 4. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram horns.
7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets. Read on.
Of ram horns. And the 7th day
And
shall
the 7th day, read on.
he shall compass the city 7 times.
Shall compass the city 7 times. This is when they was tearing down Jericho.
Break down the walls.
Breaking the walls down. Okay, keep reading.
And the priest shall blow with the trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat.
Right, so the point is that 7 is a spiritual number which represents completion.
Right.
Right, so everything had to be done decently in order before they tore down the walls of Jericho and overtook the city. All right,
I got another. Oh, yeah, I got one.
Romans chapter 11, verse 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 4.
Right.
But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed to the knee to the image of Baal,
And that's not a literal 7,000 men.
nor image.
Right, it's not a literal 7,000 men. That's just a complete number of men. They have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Meaning they didn't worship the spirit of Satan.
That's right.
All right. I yield.
All right, you got a precept?
You get Second Kings chapter 5, verse 14.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 5 and verse 15. And he returned to the man of the Most High, he and all his company, and came and stood before him.
It's like in 14.
Verse 14. Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of the Most High, and his flesh came again, like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean.
So again, 7 is perfection, it's emphasis. It's somehow 7 that's real spiritual, right? And it means something to the Most High. Right? We can only understand and perceive how much it means through the precepts, but you know, it's numerology, right? On the right hand side. All right, the Lord deals with numerology on the left, it's like on the right hand side, not on the left hand side. Where we try to figure out prophecies through numbers and weird stuff. That's how Esau did with astrology. You know, they actually had movies and TV shows, I believe, where a man was kind of doing prophecies with numbers. It was all done on the left hand side. It was called the knowing, I think. You know, yeah.
Damn, that was on
It was
TV.
some spiritual movie. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it's time to go off with that.
I heard of that though.
Get Exodus 25, verse 31.
The book of Exodus, chapter 25 and verse 31.
It's locking out. This is going to the instruments of the temple, right? This is the menorah. Now, the menorah is based off of what he's seen in heaven. So the Lord is dealing with 7 because it's 7 candlesticks, right? Bring it up.
And thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold.
Right, a candlestick of pure gold, right?
Of beaten work shall the candlestick be made.
Right,
His shaft and his branches,
right.
his boughs, his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same.
Right, so you got one big candlestick, right?
And 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it.
Right, right.
3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side,
Right, so you got 3 on this side,
and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other
you
side.
got 3 on that side, so it's 7. Right, get Revelation 1 and 13. Right, and this is in the 3rd heaven, man. So this is what Moses saw in the 3rd heaven.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 13.
Right,
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks,
right.
one like unto the Son of Man.
Read that again.
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks,
Right.
one like unto the Son of Man,
Read.
clothed with a garment down to the foot,
Right?
and girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
Right, so it had 7 candlesticks, man. He was in the midst of the 7 churches. Right, so 7 is a spiritual number for completion. So that 6 will represent the imperfection of the beast, man.
That's right.
Two precepts. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 15.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 15.
Right?
That which is crooked cannot be made straight.
So Esau is that crooked serpent that cannot be made straight, meaning he's imperfect. That's why he lacks melanin pigmentation. Right? He don't know how to dance, sing, cook. Right? Everything he does is imperfect. So he's that crooked serpent. Keep reading.
And that which is wanting cannot be numbered.
And that which is wanting cannot be numbered. So also give me Ecclesiastes chapter 7, and I believe it's the 13.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 13. Consider the work of the Most High.
You better consider the work of the Lord. Read on.
For who can make that straight which ye have made crooked?
See that? Nothing the Lord created crooked cannot be made straight. That's Esau. He's that crooked serpent that cannot be made straight. He's 666. Oh, Joe Biden kind of came out and said 666, man. You gotta look that up, bro.
He said, whether
Yeah.
it's 6 months,
Yeah.
6 weeks, or 6 days.
Come on, you gotta look that up. This is the nail of the coffin right here, man. You got oh, see.
Put
Yeah,
6,
ain't gonna
put
get
6
it.
months, 6 days,
Yeah, 6 months, 6 days.
or 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 days, 6 weeks. See, they gotta be.
You gotta look it up, Israel.
No, hold on. We gotta find it.
I got a precept too, though. Get
I'm gonna find it.
We find it, brother.
I got it.
Get Ezekiel 28
People with ADHD.
and verse 12.
The book of Ezekiel,
That ain't it.
chapter 28 and verse 12.
Right?
Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus,
Right, now this is going into America, like the so-called white man. You know what?
and say unto him, Thus saith Yahweh the Most High, Thou sealest up the sum full of wisdom, and perfect in beauty.
Right?
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of the Most High.
Right, so it says you was in the garden of Eden, that serpent, right? That wicked spirit, man. Right, talking about Esau. Right, now check this out.
Every precious stone was thy covering.
Right, now this is going into the ephod that the priest wore had 12 stones. So we gonna count the stones of the so-called white man, because they are priests on the left-hand side. So the ephod the priest wore had 12 stones for the 12 tribes of Israel. Right, so they had precious stones, read.
Thy sardius,
Right, sardius,
topaz,
right,
and the diamond,
diamond,
the beryl,
beryl,
the onyx,
onyx,
the jasper,
jasper,
the sapphire,
sapphire,
the emerald,
the emerald,
and the carbuncle,
the carbuncle,
and the gold.
and the gold. So only had 10, huh? They didn't even have a complete number. Right? So that's what it's basically going into. So everything Esau does is incomplete, man.
That's right, it's
Right?
half.
It's not, they try to be perfect, but they just can't quite get there, man. Like even Esau, he wanted to please his father, so he wouldn't marry Ishmaelites, man. Because he said not to marry these heathens, so he went with Ishmael. He can't get right, man. So his number would be 6, the incomplete number.
Time. You ain't played with it.
Play that clip.
Sloppy Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
That was my class.
Wait.
You can turn it up with max volume in here. It's that last one, last red one on it.
You know what?
No, not that one. Nah.
How is he still looking he got the flu shot? That's what's killing me. Because remember, he was live and he got a flu shot. And he's still wearing it.
Shamari.
I gotta listen.
Shamar.
It's only 56 seconds.
Doesn't matter whether it's 6 minutes, 6 days, or 6 weeks. You're gonna get it done.
6 minutes,
Specific.
6 days, or
6
6 weeks.
minutes, 6 days, 6 weeks.
Can't make this stuff.
This is the number of the beast.
Damn. Check that out, straight up.
And if you notice, he went live when he got that jab.
Yeah, he got that jab.
But he wearing a mask while he's in where he's at. But I thought if you get the jab, you don't need the mask.
He need to get it.
He was on the set when he got that jab.
No, he came back out and said, I never said that.
I remember that.
Look,
With that, we're gonna close out.
Come
Come here, brother. We